Okay, I think we're recording now. All right. Okay. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but hi everyone. Welcome to the Bono Foundation webinar series on summer service. My name is Arthur Tarty, and I'll be your host today. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. I'm on here with two of my favorite people. I will allow them to introduce themselves in a few. But first, I just want to go over some ground rules. But since we don't have anyone joining us today, I think it's just the three of us on here. Like to move forward. We can just do introduction. Adrienne, you want to go first, and then Blake, you can go. You can follow through right after.
Sure. I'm Adrienne Piazza, and I'm with the Bonner Scholars Program and the Bonner Center for Civic Engagement at the University of Richmond.
Yes. All right. And I'm Blake Stack. I am with the Center for Civic Engagement at the University of Richmond as well. And Adrienne and I have the privilege of working together.
Thank you. So I didn't give a full introduction. So I said earlier, my name is Arthur Tarty, and I'm the Alumni Network Manager here at the Bono Foundation. And I'm still having technical difficulties. Figure this out. There you go. So these are our faces, as you can see, appearing on the screen here. And we plan on covering just a generic background of summer service description, and expectations for Bonner students, scholars, and leaders students, as well as plans you need to consider when trying to help a student look for summer internship. And then we're going to end with some questions that I have for Adrienne and Blake, and hopefully we can provide some help and they can provide some wisdom throughout. I encourage them to inject whenever during the presentation and just help me out as we go through this webinar. So I'm just going to start off with some background. So the overarching goal of summer service is to provide high impact experience for Bonners, whether you're from a small school or a big school. We want every Bonner to experience some type of service work outside of the academic calendar. So doing summer service, whether it be a compensated internship or unpaid one too. So internship is a common form of experiential learning. The idea is to provide students with direct experience in a work setting, usually a full-time, in a full-time capacity, and to give them the benefit of having supervision and coaching from a professional experience too. So usually students during the school year, they might go into that community partner service site for 2 or 3 days in a week. But then during the summertime, the idea is to have them be at their service site or their partners for about 30 to 40 hours a week, really being deeply engaged with whatever issue they're interested in, as well as the population that they're working with too. And it also, summer service also enables students to explore issues that they might not be familiar with, or communities they may have no idea of, whether it be locally, nationally, or internationally too. So summer service is also part of the developmental model. Bonner develop and practice new skills, knowledge areas, and leadership studies. So from the personal perspective, we encourage students to do reflection throughout, so to set goals for their internship, what they would like to reap from the internship experience, how they expect to manage their time during their summer hours too. So whether it be starting their summer service as soon as school ends, or finishing up their service at the latter part of that summer. And also developing into leaders too, working with different teams, going into a new setting, and really taking on ownership and leadership role. And also build that professional network and resume too. So during the summertime, we encourage students to not just take on leadership role, but to gain from whatever experience that they may have, so that once they leave the undergraduate program, whether this are going directly to postgraduate work or going to the workforce, that those experiences they, they can reach deep from those experiences and use that too to build their resume, as well as to land a job in whatever career field that they would like to go into. And then summer service can also be a time where like you get a lot of life-changing experiences. Personally, for me, I wouldn't be at the Bonner Foundation if it wasn't for my summer service. When I was after my sophomore year, I was fortunate enough to get an internship with the Bonner Foundation, where I was able to work on curriculum development, learn firsthand how the Bonner Foundation functions, how it works, and the different. I was also able to plan the 25th anniversary, which was a huge experience for me, being in the background and knowing what it takes to put on a huge conference. So right now in my position, I can always draw back from that experience, whether we're working towards the fall director meetings or Bonner Congress or even the Summer Leadership Institute. I can take some of my experiences that I had here when I was an intern and apply it now to my job function. And in doing so too, I was also able to build a lot of communication skills, talking in front of people, networking with different Bonners, and also networking with school presidents and staff too, so that once I became an official staff member of the Bonner Network, I was able to interact with them more fluently too. So for summer service require minimum of 280 hours. Students are more than welcome to go above that. I know for 2 summers, I went above my 280 hours, which is frequent for Bonners too. And also it has to be at least 7 weeks long. So we don't want students just jam-packing the first 4 weeks of their summer to get that summer service out the way, and then they can have the rest of the summer off too. We want it to be a deeply engaged and invested opportunity and experience for them too. And so Bonners can intern at a nonprofit organization, government agency, NGO of their choice. So government agency, they can also work within, for example, the mayor office, or they can work in the government, in the governor office. They're not allowed to help to run campaigns, but they can function in various capacity within government agency as long as they're not running campaigns. Now, I know it can be cloudy sometimes too with students, but if students want to lobby for an issue that they're passionate about, they can definitely do that too, but they can't side with a candidate to try to promote that candidate within their summer service capacity. And it can also include financial compensation. For scholar schools and leader schools, there's a big difference in there regarding funding. But I know that even if you're a scholar student or a leader student, if the internship partner would like to compensate the students for scholar school, I know there's a way where you can, as long as the student inform the partners that they are being compensated or being awarded a certain amount of money, the partners are more than welcome to match that or give them more than that, as long as they inform the partner too. And it also allows students to develop social capacity. So regarding Bonner scholars and Bonner leaders, there are a lot of the funding issue. We weren't ready to talk about that, but Bonner scholars are required to do at least 2 summers of service. The third one is highly encouraged. I, for one, did a 3rd summer of service. Bonner leaders are strongly encouraged to do summer service too. Some programs provide fundings for their students. So Siena have a way of providing summer service opportunity for their students. What they basically do is they have programs where students work locally with the Albany area partners, and then they also attend training and other activities that build their knowledge, skills, and leadership. The program is run through Siena Academic Community Engagement. And in the past, some students also work on campus too with the Bonner Network, getting some type of funding. And for Montclair, they work with some of the national partners within our network that do international opportunities too for students too. And in that way, students get scholarships to do summer service work. So it's not directly through the program, but through our national partners. And Allegheny also have local summer service opportunity that they provide to their students, and students take just take responsibility of looking for those local summer service partners that they will want to work with to stay on campus and get some type of funding regarding that too. So there are a lot of ways that you your campus can go about doing that if you're not a scholar school and students aren't receiving direct fund from the Bonner Network. So generally, for summer service, the type of placements for first year students that are just finishing their first year, they're encouraged to go close to home, whereas they don't have to worry about finding housing or anything like that, so that they can commute from places that they're familiar with. So I know for me, I was able to come back at home and live for my parents and work in the training area where I'm from. And then my second year too, I was also able to stay at home, but work from the foundation. Fortunately for me, I live 20 minutes away from the foundation. I was able to save that money up and use it for my study abroad experience going into my junior year. So for students, it can vary too. So for some first year students, they're very ambitious. They might want to go and do summer service work internationally. They might want to go to Asia. They're more than welcome to do that too. But then we also got to be realistic with fundings too. And as long as they can be creative in finding ways to fund that summer service, traveling that first year, they're more than welcome to do that too. So it all depends on how you as a staff member can work with those students. If you think the student is more than capable enough to go overseas that first year to do summer service work, they're more than welcome to do that too. And then for second summer of service work, we would like for it to be more intensive. Perhaps students can live in a new community, work with new population, just so that they can gain, as we like to say, international perspective and diverse perspective, working with a diverse group of people that they're not to say comfortable working with, but they're not used to working with, so that they can grow their leadership ability. They can grow personally and professionally too. And then for the third summer, we encourage students to make career connection. Now, students are more than welcome to make career connection at first summer service, second summer service, or the option of third summer service. But the third one, we really want students to try to make that connection with their academic interest, and potentially too with whatever career sector or career field they're trying to go into. Am I missing anything, Adrienne Blake?
So you do you.
Yeah.
Okay. So just moving forward, going into planning and planning considerations too. So as you can see on the screen, the time frame and recommended activities, I won't go into every one of them by details, but for fall, you really want to conduct class meetings and one-on-ones to just get a pulse of what students are thinking about. They may just be coming back to school and they may not be thinking about summer experience, but then some of our students are very ambitious too. So you want to start just getting a pulse of what they're considering for their summer service opportunities too. And then in the month of January and February, you really want to talk to students and aid them in researching sites and options for the internship opportunity. You can discuss with students too. I know most schools have one-on-ones coming back from winter break. So you want to have that discussion with students to see what they have been thinking about over the winter break too, before they start submitting various forms for their summer service applications. And then, so by the end of the spring semester, you want to make sure the students have that summer community learning agreement has been submitted to you and approved before they leave campus too, because once they leave campus, it can be kind of difficult to trying to get students to submit paperwork, and then you're trying to reach out to students, and then there's not that much communication going back and forth too, because we never know where students may end up in the summer too. So regarding planning, have like, it's a circle here. I want to talk about exploring, preparing, and sort of connecting, but then the latter part of the experience, we're going to talk about that in the later webinar. But doing all these 4 stages, you want to have students reflecting, which is something Bonner's always talking about too. So when they start exploring opportunities and internships, whether it be paid or unpaid, you want them to reflect on what they envision themselves doing too, and then how they're going to prepare for the internship and who they're going to connect with too. So in exploring, you want to have students identify their interests, their values, personal traits that they will bring to the internship, as well as skills they would like to gain from the internship experience too. So as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, it's just a self-assessment tools that a lot of schools use within our network, from communication skills to life skills that that students will want to gain from the internship experience. So providing some type of self-assessment for students to take also help them narrow their focus too on where they want to do their summer of service, as well as what type of internship they want to get into, as well as the partners too. So in talking about opportunities that are available to students, you can use your Career Center, you can use Bonner Resources. You can also use Idealist for students. I know I look on Idealist a lot to refer students to opportunities, as well as our national partners too, who are always looking for Bonners in any type of capacity too. So really pushing that. We do have national partners. We do have international partners that students can work with, that we know that previous Bonners or Bonners alumni have went through the process. So it would be easier for them to reach out to those Bonner alumni, as well as to those national and international partners too. Speaking of my career service, so Oberlin has a career service website that students can go on and look at different internship opportunities, and it can reach out to alumni still to see what type of internship experience they have with partners, and they can make connection on there too. So you want to tailor some career skill workshops. If your university doesn't provide those type of workshops, you're more than welcome to use some of the Bonner resources too, to tailor certain career skill workshops like resume building, cover letters, having interviews, prepping for interviews too. So you can have students interview each other. They can reach out to alumni to do an informal interview. And it's always good to have a clothing closet where students can go if they want to have, if they have interview coming up with a potential partner, and they don't have clothes, or they don't have the proper attire, that they can always have access to that too. So it's a good way to build your community. You can put someone in your leadership team to be in charge of that, or as a staff member, you can lead that too. And it's another way too, you can fundraise within your Bonner program, reaching out to alumni to give back too in that capacity. And then there's always Bonner Connect. Students can reach out to me as an alumni network manager. I would try to make connection for them, but then they can also go into the directory and look for alumni that have been in the field that they're going into, or that just read that bio to see what type of summer experiences that they have. Because I have been encouraging a lot of alumni to really flush out their profile within a directory so that students can just go and read through and make connection with them too. And then speaking of my ideal list, there's an internship tag on there that students can look for internship from every part of the world. So they can look through their current location, job function, as well as issue area too, to try to look for summer opportunities within the area, as well as whatever new community that they want to work in that summer. And regarding connection too, you want to encourage students to attend networking events, from career fair to just reaching out to Bonner alumni. Doesn't always have to be Bonner alumni. They can also reach out to alumni from your campus too, and have student request mentors on Bonner Connect. So the mentor tab is there for them. They can always reach out to Bonners, and as soon as they make that request, the alumni would get notification to their email, and they would know right away that it's a Bonner that's reaching out to them, and it's not someone random or some student random that is reaching out. So they're already indicated that they're willing to mentor students too. So that's a great way to get students to reach out to mentor and create that mentor and student relationship. And also, as I said earlier, having information and interviews. So you can always contact Bonner National Partners too, and have them do a webinar or do a workshop for your students too, so that students can be able to connect with national partners, so that they're aware that the network does have national partners that they can always reach out to. They're seeking Bonners. They're already looking for Bonners too. So we have from graduate programs to international service program to national service program that have tons of internship availability too, not just at their site too, but with also partners that they partners with during the summertime, that Bonners are more than welcome to interns with. So in saying that, I did a short survey on the Bonner learning community on Monday, and we had 16 people respond from Monday until today. So the question was, how do Bonners find their summer service internship? So 7 people said through career service on campus. 6 said through networking. So whether it be networking with Bonners, non-Bonners. 1 person said through Bonner online resources, and then 2 people said through other online resources. So these are responses from staff members as well as Bonner leaders at various campuses throughout the network. And then on the right-hand side, Ford Magazine did a study in 2014 asking students about what do they want to get out of their internship experience. And these are the 12 things that really stood out to them. Through a national survey, they surveyed over 65,000 students. And these are some of the things. I won't read throughout the entire list, but opportunity for full-time employment, challenging assignment, a job orientation and training. So those are things that students really see as valuable to them going into their internship experience. They want to work with someone who is going to make sure that their transition going into their internship experience and exiting the internship experience is very fluent, as well as so stuff like flexible working condition and competitive compensation. So yes, Bonners are willing helpers, and they're willing to do a lot of great work, but they also need to get compensated too. So we also we've been pushing for a lot of national partners to provide some type of compensation for Bonners during their internship there, because they're working full time. They're considered staff members, so they need to be sort of treated like a staff member during their internship experience. So for summer service, there are various forms that I think you all are very familiar with, but I would just like to review them. Site approval form, you want to let students know about these various documents. Summer service information sheet. You want to have students do a checklist of things that they have to get approved before they do that internship work, so that you're not chasing them over the summer, like I said, as well as summer service placement application form. So you know that whatever internship they're doing, especially for scholar students, you want to know that those are appropriate, whether it be nonprofit organization or government agencies, that those are appropriate partners that they're going to work with, and you know that whatever work that they're doing over the summer would be worthwhile for them as students, as well as is going to be approved by yourself once you review those documents too, so that students are not going in blindfolded, or you're not going in blindfolded with students' experience too. And at the end too, with site evaluation form, we're going to talk more about that in the next webinar series, and as well as the reflection guide. So for summer service transition procedure, Bono web-based reporting system, BWebers. I know BWeber can be difficult at times, but it also enables us to keep track of what students are doing, as well as it allow you to keep track of students' activities, because the partners are signing off on the time slides, make sure that students are actually doing their internship, because there's always there's always that doubt in some people's mind too about the legitimacy of the internship as well as the partner too. So you want to make sure students are students are following through on what they said, as well as the partners too. So it's a way of keeping students and partners accountable too in tracking it. So you want to make sure that the following steps happen before your students leave for their summer service internship. Enter future semester start date. So the start date for their summer service, their partners, the position description, as well as what type of work that they're going to be doing too. And then make sure you schedule a call too with the Bono Foundation regarding any update towards summer service. And so we're going to go into the question and answer section so that Adrienne and Blake can provide some more insights into summer service and as well as placements. So Adrienne, I don't know which one of y'all want to start, but can you talk a little bit about University of Richmond procedure and like the process from fall to summer, and maybe like the end of it? How do you, I mean, you don't have to go into detail, but you can just give like a brief synopsis of how you all plan out students' experience towards that summer service.
We're looking at each other across the table. So, I mean, I could just have, I don't know all the nitty gritty, so Blake can probably fill in some of that, but we start talking to students about it a little bit in the fall, and then there's a first year meeting early January, early in the semester, or January, early February, where we talk about summer service, and that is really more, we were just talking about it today, kind of upper class students talking about how they've done it and how they've navigated it. And we've morphed our process timeline over the last few years to match other university processes that are happening a little bit. And so we are from a really fortunate place that the University of Richmond offers one summer of funding through a UR summer fellowship program to all University of Richmond students. And so Bonners are included in that. It's above and beyond the 2 summers that we fund for Bonners. And that timeline application is due in early April. And so we've kind of guided our process to be in line with the deadline for that. So that would be one encouragement, is to think about the environment that you're operating within and your students are operating in, and what other things they have. Our semester ends super early compared to other schools. So our last day of classes is usually the end of April 24th, 5th, 6th, in that range. So our students are really trying to solidify their summer internships far earlier than it feels like summer. And so our timeline kind of aligns with that. They're done and out of here and ready to start usually by Mother's Day, which is our commencement. And so they're starting mid-May at their internship. They could start mid-May at their internships. And so they really have 14 weeks of a summer to figure out what to do. So that's the general. Do you want to talk about any other the actual process?
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that, and if you can't hear me, let me know. I've turned off my microphone so we're not getting an echo or feedback here. But I think you should be able to hear me. So regarding aligning our work with other offices, in the past and from time to time, we'll try to align our work office with the Office of International Education too. At varying times in our relationship with them, they have asked to know whether or not a student is going to go abroad early on in the semester, so that they can walk with that student through all the steps they need to walk through to prepare them for an experience abroad. Here at the University of Richmond, if a country is on the State Department's warning list, they are not allowed to go to that country, and we cannot release any funding to that student if they decide to go to that country. So that's another consideration if you have an Office of International Education or something similar to think about as well. But I think the general flow of spring, sometimes we've required a statement of intent. We'll gather that information. That gives us a sense of whether they're staying home or going abroad or going away from their home country or their place of residence. And then we will work with them throughout the semester through the one-on-ones and then fill out the necessary paperwork. In May, June, that's when the CLA creation is happening. And then there's a lot of tracking to kind of stick with students throughout the summer as they go throughout the process. But there is a lot of discernment that happens both in the fall and in the spring. A lot of students who have it on their radar are trying to discern what the best placement is, and so that fluctuates with each student. Mm-hmm. Some students know exactly what they want, and so it's making a very easy connection to career services. Some students are very open-ended. They don't really know what to do, and so we're doing a lot of advising to kind of coach them and narrow down their interests.
And I don't know if this is going to be a trend that resonates across the network, but we've had more and more kind of first-year students coming in who started asking summer service questions like in September. And so they are thinking about, what does my first summer look like? What does my second summer look like? What is my third summer? And so we've, I think for some students, have to say, slow down, we'll get there, it'll be okay. And they want the information before we are fully ready to give it to them.
Yeah, one example of that is some of our students are heavily invested in the sciences or heavily invested in our business department. And so they know that they've got some of their summers already spoken for. And so just like they're trying to plan their academics for 4 years, sometimes they're trying to plan their summers for 3 summers. And so we're having a lot of those conversations about how to plan it out and map it out.
So Garnett, what are some of the biggest challenges in dealing with student summer placements compared with primary site placement or like part-time job on campus?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is the scope of the globe, that when the students are here doing their academic year placement or doing their academic year placement and working a part-time job on campus, we know that world. We know the site supervisor, we know the organization, we know how long transportation takes, we know the bus route, we know maybe their supervisor here on campus, and we can help navigate that world. But then in the summer, we have 100 students who come from all over, and so they are not really staying here in Richmond. Some do, but they're going wherever home is, or a place that feels like home, or somewhere totally different, and we don't know that place. So it's harder to help them match with an opportunity, even find that opportunity, and know the context. And so we really lean into other resources as they exist, our career services, online directories, their own personal networks, to try to leverage some of that. So I think that happens all through. The challenge of the scope of it happens all throughout. It's in the initial discernment and search and placement and follow-up, but it's also supporting the student during the summer, because it's not, we might hear of a challenge that here at Richmond we could easily fix, but if they're in Des Moines, we can't help them as much. It's not as easy for us to just pick up and call someone and make it happen. So the level of support we have here, or the ability to help them reflect, or grab them for a quick conversation, or gather them together to talk through challenges, it's not as easy in the summer.
And just to follow up regarding placements, I know I mentioned some students may be ambitious about going abroad after their first year to do their summer service. Are different type of placement more appropriate for students at different level? How do you as a staff try to get students to understand that their first summer service, they need to save up, maybe like how they can strategically use their funding or whatever funding that is provided to them, so that they can maximize their internship experience?
Yeah, I think for us, when we're working with a student and we're advising them, it's going to be the degree to which they're comfortable being independent for the summer. So if this is the first experience for a student doing a full-time internship, it's probably, they're going to be a little less independent, and they're going to be closer to a support network. They're going to be close to family, people they trust, where they maybe have more access to familiar transportation systems, or a place to go home at night. Whereas another student who's had a lot of independent experiences, who's been out on their own, we're probably going to coach them and guide them in some different directions, as much as they lean into that. We would never push a student to do something that's beyond their comfort level, but we'll kind of walk with them, and as we get a sense of their past experiences and their current development as a student, we'll help them lean into certain opportunities that would be a good fit for them. One quick thing, to go back to one of the previous questions that Adrienne was alluding to, being out of our control a little bit. We also try to really coach students in how to interview an organization. It's a lot of them are intimidated because they're being interviewed themselves in trying to find a summer internship. But we try to emphasize with them that it's equally important for them to learn how to interview an organization and how to vet them. If communication is poor, if they're not getting a job description, there's kind of these indicators that can give them hints as to whether or not it's going to be a good placement. It's not a sure fit. They're not going to know whether it's a great place, just by online communication or an interview. But there's some key things that they can be aware of to know whether or not this place is ready to take on an intern. Another question is, have they worked with previous interns? If they've never worked with a previous intern, how can they demonstrate that they're going to take care of you when you're there and support you? But if they can say, yeah, we work with interns all the time, that's typically a good sign as well.
So speaking about partners, summer partners, have you all dealt with a situation where a student want to split like the 7 weeks or the 8 weeks at one site or at multiple partners because of like family travels or family vacation or whatever situation it may be in, but they want to have, they want to work with multiple community partners or international partners within one summer?
Yeah, we've experienced that a lot over the past And I think for us, it's always about asking the reasons behind that. What is pushing a student to want to split that summer or two? And if it's, you know, I'm going on vacation to the Bahamas, you know, for 3 or 4 weeks, we may not be as accommodating. But if it's a student who's saying, hey, I need to work a part-time job on top of my existing, you know, internship in order to make the money I need for, you know, the academic year, or I'm trying to do research this summer to meet some of my academic requirements. Kind of based on the reasoning, we'll work with a student, but typically we discourage it. And I think that goes back to some of your original points you were making in the earlier part of the webinar, of giving students these deep, rich experiences that will help them grow and develop and build a network and experience a different point of view and different perspectives. It's hard to do that when you're only there for a few weeks, or you're only there on a part-time basis for a little while. So we kind of have our preference, you know, the full 7 to 8 weeks or 9 weeks at 30 to 40 hours a week. But then depending upon their unique situation, sometimes we'll negotiate and try and figure out something in order to meet some of the Bonner Foundation expectations.
Thanks, Blake.
Yeah, I think one of the questions you sent us, Arthur, when we were preparing was, you know, what works based on development of a student, and I think that's one of those it depends moments. Yeah. Just like was saying, that it depends on what the student wants. Like, I could imagine a split placement at 2 organizations that are linked by an issue area that could be really compelling. Like, there's a good reason for it, and then sometimes there's just not. So it's Blake spends a lot of time talking with students because you have to navigate why those 2 things would fit together.
Thanks, Adrienne. So I just want to be respectful of you all time. No, it's just to end at 4:15. It's 4:21. So I just want to thank you all, the both of you, for joining me on this webinar. And I really appreciate it because you all didn't have to do it, but you was willing and you happily joined on, and it was just the 3 of us on here. So I think we had a great conversation, and anyone listening to this, I think they learned a lot from the 2 of you too. So thank you.
Thanks.
And, thanks for having us.
Thanks everyone for who's watching this at any time. So this is just the first part of the summer service webinar. So the next webinar we plan on talking about guiding students through their experience too. So during that summer service time, students deal with a lot at their internship and then after the internship too. So how you as a staff can better support them to enhance their internship experience. So that would be the next webinar. So I hope you tune in for that one too. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Arthur.
Bye, Adrienne. Bye, Blake.
See ya.